Commander Ashley Mitchell had imagined this moment differently during the long journey to Centauri Prime. The massive amphitheater of the Galactic Confederation stretched before her like a living painting. Thousands of alien species arranged in concentric rings that spiraled up into the crystalline dome. Floating platforms carried delegates from gas giant worlds, while environmental bubbles housed representatives from liquid methane oceans. Under different circumstances, she would have been awestruck. Instead, she stood rigid at attention, her dress uniform crisp despite the 12-hour diplomatic session, as barely concealed laughter rippled through the chamber. Above her head, the holographic display showed Earth's pride and joy. All 50 ships of the Terran Defense Fleet, rendered in perfect detail down to the last railgun. Surely this is a preliminary showing. The Varaxian ambassador's translated voice carried artificial smoothness, but the subtle vibration of his scales betrayed his amusement. His serpentine form was coiled around an anti-gravity platform, head swaying slightly as he examined the display. Perhaps the rest of your fleet is under construction. This represents the current strength of Earth's spacecraft capable of deep space combat operations, Mitchell responded, keeping her voice steady. The words tasted like ash in her mouth. We believe quality. 48 battleships, 2 carriers, interrupted Kazek of the Hive Concordat, their mandibles clicking rapidly in what Mitchell's neural translator interpreted as their species equivalent of chuckling. The smallest territorial defense force in recorded Confederation history. Even the Proto-Alga Collective fields more ships, and they achieved spaceflight last solar cycle. The massive hologram shifted, now displaying the Varaxian Armada. Mitchell's eyes narrowed as thousands upon thousands of ships filled the air above her. The serpentine ambassador's scales rippled with pride. For comparison, Battle Fleet 17 alone, one of our smaller formations, numbers 12,000 vessels. But something caught Mitchell's attention. She'd studied every scrap of intelligence on Confederation species during the journey here. As the hologram slowly rotated, displaying ship after identical ship, a pattern emerged. Your vessels, she said carefully. They're all the same design. Perfected over 3,000 years, the Varaxian ambassador declared. Why alter what has proven superior? Mitchell stepped closer to the display, her military training kicking in. Not just similar, identical. Down to the placement of every weapon system and hull plate. She turned to survey the chamber and the other Confederation fleets. They all followed the same principle. Standardized designs, minimal variation, focusing on numerical superiority rather than tactical flexibility. You speak as though this is a flaw. The Hive representative clicked. Uniformity breeds efficiency. Efficiency enables numerical growth. Numbers win wars. Numbers, Mitchell murmured, an idea starting to form. She thought of Earth's history, of battles where smaller forces had triumphed through innovation and adaptability. The Spanish Armada, the Battle of Agincourt, Desert Storm. Her contemplation was interrupted by the Varaxian's dismissive gesture. Perhaps humans should focus on defending their own atmosphere until they can field a proper fleet. The void between stars is no place for toys. The chamber erupted in multilingual agreement, a cascade of chirps, clicks, and subsonic rumbles that Mitchell's translator struggled to process. She stood straight-backed, absorbing the mockery, but her mind was racing. Every alien ship design she could see was a product of stagnation, millennium-old technology replicated without improvement. They'd traded innovation for production capacity, creativity for numerical superiority. As she left the chamber hours later, Mitchell's quantum comm chirped. A priority message from Earth Command. Pirates had been spotted near the outer colonies. The Confederation's response was already attached, a formal rejection of aid, citing insufficient strategic significance. Mitchell smiled grimly as she drafted her response. Earth couldn't match the Confederation's numbers, but perhaps they didn't need to. Quality over quantity wasn't just a slogan. It was humanity's only path forward. And she had a plan. The hologram flickered in the dim light of Pentagon IO's secure bunker, showing grainy footage from New Eden Colony. Mitchell watched, jaw clenched, as pirate ships descended on the research outpost. The colonists' screams cut through the quantum-encrypted channel before the transmission abruptly ended. "Seventh attack this month," General Torres said, his weathered face illuminated by the repeating footage. "Same pattern. They're harvesting our people for their bio-research programs. Intelligence suggests they're specifically targeting humans because our neural plasticity makes us ideal test subjects." The Earth Defense Council sat in grim silence around the obsidian table. 15 of humanity's highest-ranking military and scientific leaders, all facing the same impossible math. 50 ships to protect 17 colonies spread across 8 star systems. The Confederation's response. Admiral Chen asked, though they all knew the answer. Mitchell played the recording she'd received an hour ago. The Viraxian ambassador's hologram materialized, scales gleaming with barely concealed satisfaction. "While unfortunate, your colony's situation falls below the threshold for Confederation military intervention. Perhaps if Earth maintained a more substantial fleet, you could address these minor security concerns yourselves." Minor. Mitchell's fist clenched. "They've taken over 3,000 civilians. They're enjoying this," Torres growled, "watching us squirm while they sit on their precious armadas." Mitchell stood, her chair scraping against the titanium floor. "Permission to present a classified project, sir." The council president nodded, and Mitchell's neural implant interfaced with the room's holographic systems. The air filled with technical schematics and test results. "Operation Chimera," she began. "We've been developing it in secret since the Confederation Summit. The aliens think bigger fleets are the answer. They've spent thousands of years building more of the same ships. But humanity," a ghost of a smile crossed her face, "we've spent those same millennia perfecting the art of asymmetric warfare." The hologram shifted to show the EDS Gettysburg, Earth's newest battleship. Dr. Wang's team has cracked adaptive quantum architecture. Instead of building more ships, we build smarter ones, ships that can change, adapt, and split into autonomous combat units while maintaining quantum-entangled coordination. Split. Admiral Chen leaned forward. "You're talking about modular ship design." "I'm talking about revolution." Mitchell's eyes gleamed. "One ship becoming 5. Each section capable of independent combat operations, but linked through quantum networks to function as a single coordinated unit. The pirates, the Confederation, they're all using static tactics for static ships. We'll show them something they've never seen." Technical data scrolled through the air. Quantum field tests, drone combat simulations, AI adaptation curves. The council members studied them in silence, their expressions shifting from skepticism to cautious hope. "The resource cost," Torres began, "is less than building new ships," Mitchell finished. "We modify our existing fleet. Every vessel becomes a wolf pack unto itself. 50 ships become 250 combat-capable units. The Confederation will protest," the council president warned. "They've already demanded we share any military innovations." Mitchell's laugh was sharp. "They mocked our fleet size, called us primitive. Let them keep thinking that, right until they see what one primitive ship can do." The quantum comm crackled to life, interrupting the presentation. Another distress call, this time from Europa Colony. Pirates detected on an attack vector. The council president stood. "How soon can the first ship be ready?" Mitchell met his gaze. "The Gettysburg's modifications are complete. We've been running war games for the past week. My crew is prepped and ready. The pirates are expecting easy prey," she continued, her voice hard. "Let's show them how humanity responds to being underestimated." One by one, the council members nodded. The president's authorization code flashed across the secure network. Operation Chimera was go. As Mitchell strode toward the hangar where the Gettysburg waited, her neural implant pinged with a final message from Admiral Chen. "Make them remember this, Commander. Make them regret every laugh." She allowed herself a grim smile. They would. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity's greatest weakness, their small fleet, had driven them to create something unprecedented, something deadly. The hunt was about to begin. Red dust swirled around the massive hangar doors of Olympus Station, Mars' premier military research facility. Inside, Commander Mitchell walked between rows of holographic displays, each showing different aspects of the Gettysburg's transformation. Engineers and technicians worked in synchronized precision, their neural implants coordinating their efforts through the facility's quantum network. The breakthrough wasn't the physical separation, Dr. Marcus Wong explained, his hands dancing through the holographic interface. We've had modular ship designs since the early colony days. The real magic is this. He pulled up a simulation showing pulsing streams of quantum-entangled particles connecting multiple ship segments. Neural quantum synchronization, Mitchell breathed, watching the display. Each segment maintains perfect tactical coordination, even when separated. Exactly. Wong grinned, dark circles under his eyes betraying countless sleepless nights. Traditional fleet actions require complex command and control structures. Communication lag, even with quantum channels, creates tactical delays. But our ships, he snapped his fingers. Every segment shares a single quantum state. They react as one, even when physically apart. Above them, robotic arms carefully installed the new systems into the Gettysburg's hull. The ship's sleek profile remained unchanged, giving no hint of its revolutionary internal modifications. "Show me the combat simulation again," Mitchell ordered, walking to the main tactical display. The hologram flared to life, showing the Gettysburg engaging multiple targets. At Mitchell's command, the ship split into 5 distinct units, each approximately corvette-sized. The segments moved with lethal grace, executing complex maneuvers that would be impossible for traditional fleet formations. "The enemy's tactical computers won't know what hit them," Wong said proudly. "They're programmed to recognize and counter standard ship configurations. But this," he gestured at the simulation, 5 ships that think and move as one, that can combine and separate at will. It'll shatter their combat algorithms." "Time to completion?" Mitchell asked, checking the mission clock. The pirates would hit Europa Colony in less than 48 hours. "Final calibrations error," Wong began, but alarms suddenly blared through the facility. The main screen shifted to show an incoming transmission. Mitchell's heart sank as she recognized the sender, the Confederation Observer Council. The Viraxian ambassador's hologram materialized, scales rippling with barely concealed suspicion. "Commander Mitchell, our sensors detect unusual power signatures from your Mars facility. The technology sharing accord requires you to." "Routine maintenance," Mitchell cut him off smoothly. "Testing new shield harmonics. Nothing that would interest the mighty Confederation fleet." The Viraxian's tongue flicked out, tasting the air as if he could sense the lie across space itself. "Perhaps we should send observers to verify compliance." "Of course," Mitchell smiled. "We'll prepare for their arrival next week, following standard diplomatic protocols." After the transmission ended, Wong looked at her nervously. "Next week. By then, it won't matter." Mitchell turned to the assembled team. "They think they're watching for new ship construction. Their arrogance blinds them to any other possibility. We have 36 hours to complete the modifications. Then we show them exactly what human innovation can do." The next day, and a half passed in a blur of activity. Mitchell practically lived in the testing chamber, running combat simulation after combat simulation. The separation sequences became smoother, the quantum-linked reactions faster. Each segment's AI learned and adapted, developing increasingly sophisticated tactical responses. Finally, Wong called her to the observation deck. Below them, the Gettysburg floated in its berth, its hull gleaming under Mars' pale sunlight. "She's ready," he said simply. Mitchell nodded, then activated her neural link to address the gathered crew. "For months, they've mocked our fleet size, called us primitive. Today, We show them the price of underestimating humanity. Today, we prove that innovation beats numbers. Board your stations. We launch in 30 minutes. As her crew rushed to their positions, Mitchell took a final look at the tactical display. The pirate fleet approaching Europa colony significantly outnumbered them, just as the simulations had shown. But numbers weren't everything. The pirates were expecting to find a single, primitive human ship. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The hunt was about to begin. The Gettysburg dropped out of quantum space at the edge of Europa's gravity well, its sensors immediately painting a grim picture. 3 pirate heavy cruisers and 12 support vessels were already in attack formation around the colony. Mitchell watched from the command chair as red dots representing escape pods scattered from the research station like desperate seeds in the wind. "They're harvesting colonists from the pods," Lieutenant Hayes reported, her hands flying over the tactical display. "Tractor beams active on all pirate vessels." Mitchell's jaw tightened. "Open a channel." The pirate commander's hologram flickered to life. A Drachnid renegade, his crystalline exoskeleton scarred from countless battles. "Ah, the mighty Earth Defense Force arrives. One ship." His metallic laugh grated through the speakers. "Leave now, human. We might even let you live to tell the tale. Return our colonists." Mitchell's voice was ice. "This is your only warning." "Warning?" The Drachnid's crystalline fragments vibrated with amusement. 15 ships against 1. "Your mathematics need work, Commander." Mitchell smiled. "Computer, initiate Hydra protocol." The Gettysburg shuddered. Along pre-designed fracture lines, the massive ship began to split. Quantum fields shimmered as 5 distinct vessels emerged from what had been one. Each segment's reactor hummed to life, shields forming perfect geometric patterns as the AI systems synchronized through their quantum-entangled cores. What trickery is this?" The Drachnid's amusement vanished. "Target analysis," Mitchell commanded, her neural link connecting her simultaneously to all 5 ship segments. Through the quantum network, she could feel each unit as if it were an extension of her own body. "Find me their weakness." The pirates recovered quickly, sending 6 ships to intercept. Their formation was textbook Confederation tactics, designed to counter traditional vessel configurations. But the Gettysburg segments were anything but traditional. "Segments 2 and 3, pincer maneuver," Mitchell ordered. 4 and 5, vertical offset. 1. With me. The battle that followed would be studied in war colleges for generations. The pirate ships, for all their numerical superiority, couldn't adapt to the Gettysburg's impossible movements. When they tried to concentrate fire on one segment, the others would strike from unexpected angles. When they spread their forces thin, the segments would recombine temporarily to punch through their lines. "Their shields are coordinated," Hayes reported with fierce pride. "They can't predict which segment will attack next. Their targeting computers are overloading trying to track 5 different battle patterns simultaneously." A pirate cruiser exploded as segments 2 and 3 executed a perfect crossfire, their quantum-linked weapons finding gaps in the enemy's shield harmonics. 3 support ships fell in quick succession to 4 and 5's synchronized assault. "Impossible." The Drachnid commander's hologram showed panic now. "No human ship can." "Can what?" Mitchell's voice was deadly calm. "Can innovate, can adapt. You thought numbers were everything. Today's lesson: quality beats quantity." The remaining pirates tried to retreat, but the Gettysburg segments had already boxed them in. A series of synchronized strikes from all 5 units tore through their engines. Within minutes, the battle was over. 17 enemy ships destroyed or disabled, their crews surrendering in confusion and fear. As the 5 segments gracefully recombined into the Gettysburg's original form, Mitchell opened a channel to the colony. "Europa Station, you are secure. Medical teams are en route to assist the recovered colonists." Later, in her quarters, Mitchell reviewed the battle footage. Her neural link pinged with an incoming transmission. "The Varaxian ambassador. His scales were pale with barely concealed shock. "Commander," his translated voice wavered. "We receive reports, impossible reports." "Just routine maintenance," Mitchell replied with a predator's smile. "As I told you, though you might want to update your tactical databases, it seems a single human ship can be quite surprising." As the ambassador's hologram faded, Mitchell sent the battle data to Earth Command. The message attached was simple: Operation Chimera successful. The galaxy's about to change. She was right. The age of massive, unchanging fleets was over. The era of human innovation had begun. The Confederation Council chamber had never been so silent. The holographic battle footage played for the third time, showing the Gettysburg's transformation and the subsequent destruction of the pirate fleet. Mitchell stood at ease before them, savoring the stunned expressions on alien faces. Impossible. The Varaxian ambassador's scales had lost their lustrous sheen. "This violates fundamental principles of ship design. Our engineers have determined." "Your engineers," Mitchell interrupted smoothly, "have spent millennia building the same ships. Clearly, they needed to think smaller." A ripple of muttered translations swept through the chamber. The Hive Concordat's representative clicked their mandibles rapidly. "The technology sharing accord requires only applies to new ship construction," Mitchell finished. "We didn't build new ships. We simply improved our existing ones." The massive chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. Species that hadn't spoken to each other in centuries were suddenly engaged in heated debates. Mitchell's neural implant struggled to translate the cacophony of alien languages. Her quantum comm chirped, "Urgent message from Earth Command." More footage, this time from the EDS Valley Forge's encounter with raiders near Alpha Centauri. The modified ship had performed even better than the Gettysburg, its 5 segments executing maneuvers that the pirates' tactical computers had declared physically impossible. The Confederation demands access to this technology. The Varaxian ambassador's translator barely kept up with his agitated hissing. "For the sake of galactic security. Like the security you provided our colonies." Mitchell's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "When we asked for help, you laughed. Called our concerns minor. Now that we've solved our own problems, you suddenly care about cooperation." Before the ambassador could respond, new alarms blared through the chamber. Emergency broadcasts from the Outer Rim showed massive fleet movements. The Drachnid Empire, emboldened by reports of the Confederation's internal discord, was mobilizing for war. 20,000 ships, someone whispered. The largest fleet ever assembled. Mitchell watched the strategic displays, noting how the Drachnid's crystalline vessels all followed the same ancient patterns, the same predictable formations. They had numbers, yes, but numbers weren't everything. Her neural implant pinged with a private message from Dr. Wong. "Phase 2 modifications ready. The whole fleet can be upgraded within the week." The Varaxian ambassador must have received similar intelligence. His scales rippled with barely concealed panic. "Commander Mitchell, perhaps we were hasty in our previous dismissals. The Confederation would be willing to discuss more favorable terms for Earth's membership." Mitchell allowed herself a small smile. "Earth appreciates the offer, but we're quite comfortable with our current fleet size." Later, in the secure quantum conference room, Mitchell briefed Earth Command on the situation. "The Drachnids think they understand our capabilities based on the pirate encounter. They don't know we've already improved the design." General Torres nodded through the quantum link. The other Confederation species, scared. For the first time in their history, they can't rely on simply building more ships to solve their problems. The Varaxians have already requested to send military observers to Earth. To steal our technology, no doubt. Mitchell's smile turned predatory. "Let them try. They don't understand that the true innovation isn't in the hardware, it's in the mindset. Humanity's greatest strength was never our numbers. It was our ability to adapt, to think differently when the old ways failed." The quantum displays showed Earth's fleet deploying to defensive positions, each ship now capable of becoming 50 ships that could fight like 250, each segment guided by quantum-linked AIs that learned and adapted faster than any conventional tactical system. "The galaxy's about to learn an important lesson," Mitchell said, watching the Drachnid fleet's ponderous advance. "It's not the size of the fleet that matters. It's how you use it." As if to emphasize her point, another battle report flashed across the network. The EDS Gettysburg had just engaged and destroyed a Drachnid scout force. The enemy's after-action report showed their confusion. Unable to determine human ship numbers, tactical computers malfunctioning. Advise extreme caution. Mitchell closed the reports with a gesture. The real war was coming, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy exactly why you should never mock a species that had turned disadvantage into inspiration. The age of innovation had begun. The Confederation capital world, Nexus Prime, burned. Crystalline Drachnid ships phased through traditional defensive screens like they weren't there, their advanced technology making a mockery of the massive alien fleets. Mitchell watched from the Gettysburg's command deck as the Varaxians vaunted Battle Fleet 17, all 12,000 ships, shattered against just 300 Drachnid vessels. Their phase shift technology, Lieutenant Hayes reported, her hands dancing across the tactical displays. "It's like nothing we've seen. They're operating on quantum frequencies that shouldn't be possible." The quantum comm crackled with desperate transmissions. The Hive Concordat's mighty armada reduced to floating debris. The Proto-Algae Collective's defensive line, scattered like leaves in a solar wind. Species that had prided themselves on their fleet sizes for millennia were learning a harsh lesson. Numbers meant nothing against sufficiently advanced technology. "They're not even trying to capture territory." Dr. Wong's hologram appeared on the bridge, his face grim. "This is extermination. The Drachnids don't want subjects. They want to clear the galaxy for their own expansion." Mitchell's neural implant buzzed with an urgent transmission from Earth Command. The tactical overlay updated, showing the Drachnid advance. At their current pace, they'd reach Earth space in less than a week. "Analysis," Mitchell demanded. "Their phase shift technology operates on principles similar to our quantum link system," Wong explained. "But they're using it defensively, to avoid damage. They never considered." His eyes widened. "Commander, I have an idea." The next 4 hours were a blur of modifications and simulations. The Gettysburg's quantum core hummed with new frequencies as Wong's team implemented the changes. Mitchell studied the results, a predatory smile growing on her face. "Send this to all Earth ships," she ordered. "Priority upgrade." The quantum comm signaled an incoming transmission. The Varaxian ambassador's hologram appeared, his scales burned and dull. "Commander Mitchell, the Confederation capital has fallen. Our fleets are in ruins. We request Earth's assistance." Mitchell remembered their mockery, their dismissal of Earth's tiny fleet. But there was no satisfaction in their desperation now. The Drachnids were a threat to all sapient life. "Hold position at Rally Point Omega," she replied. "Earth forces are inbound." The ambassador's tongue flicked nervously. "You have 50 ships. The Drachnids have 20,000. Even with your splitting technology. Numbers," Mitchell cut him off, "aren't everything. Sometimes, the smallest fleet can change the course of history." The Gettysburg led Earth's response, all 50 human ships jumping into position around Nexus Prime. The Drachnid fleet approached in their crystalline vessels, confident in their superior technology. "They're charging weapons," Hayes reported. "Phase shift fields at maximum." Mitchell's neural link connected her to all 5 of the Gettysburg segments simultaneously. "All ships, execute Operation Echo. Show them what human innovation can really do." The battle that followed would be spoken of in whispers for generations. The human ships split into their combat segments, but this time with Wong's modifications, as the Drachnids fired, expecting their phase shift technology to make them invulnerable. The human vessels did the impossible. They matched the Drachnids' quantum frequency. "Their phase shift fields," Hayes exclaimed. "They're not just failing. They're resonating with our quantum signatures." The Drachnid ships began to crystallize, their own defensive technology turned against them by the precisely calibrated quantum frequencies of the human vessels. What had made them invulnerable now made them brittle. Mitchell's voice cut across all channels. "Let's show them why quality beats quantity." The synchronized strikes from Earth's ships, each one effectively 5 vessels operating as one, shattered the crystallized Drachnid vessels like glass sculptures in a hurricane. Their mighty fleet, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was being systematically taken apart by what they had dismissed as an insignificant force. The Gettysburg led the charge, its segments dancing through the debris field, each strike precisely calculated to exploit the quantum resonance. Mitchell watched as the enemy fleet's formation crumbled, their tactical computers unable to cope with both the unusual attack patterns and the catastrophic failure of their defensive technology. The galaxy was about to learn. Never underestimate human ingenuity. "All ships," Mitchell commanded, "press the advantage. Today, we make history." The Battle of Proxima Centauri would be remembered as the moment that changed galactic warfare forever. The Drachnid main fleet, 15,000 ships strong, had cornered Earth's forces against the system's gravity well. Mitchell stood on the Gettysburg's bridge, watching the tactical display as crystalline ships filled the void like a shimmering wall of death. "They've adapted their phase shift frequencies," Hayes reported, her voice tense. "Our previous resonance tactics won't work." The quantum comm crackled with the Drachnid hivemind's transmission. "Your innovation was impressive, human, but ultimately futile. Numbers are destiny. Surrender now." Mitchell's neural link connected her to all 5 of her ship's battle segments simultaneously. Through the quantum network, she could feel the other 49 Earth vessels, now 245 combat units, awaiting her command. The Drachnids had adapted, yes, but so had humanity. "Dr. Wong," she called, "initiate Protocol Omega." Wong's hologram appeared, his fingers dancing through lines of quantum code. "Ready, Commander. But this has never been tested outside simulation. Neither had ship splitting until we tried it." Mitchell's voice carried steel. "Execute." The Gettysburg segments began to pulse with new quantum frequencies. But instead of attacking, they started moving in precise, seemingly random patterns. The other Earth ships followed suit, their segments weaving complex geometric shapes through space. "What trickery is this?" the hiveman demanded. Mitchell smiled. "You adapted to our resonance attack. But did you know that quantum entanglement can cascade? Each of our ships is 5 vessels, yes, but when their quantum fields synchronize just right, the space between the human ships suddenly lit up with quantum interference patterns. 250 combat units, their fields perfectly aligned, creating something unprecedented. Energy spike. Hayes shouted. The quantum cascade is. The void itself seemed to ripple. Where there had been empty space between Earth's ships, new quantum echoes appeared. Ghost ships, formed from the overlapping quantum fields of the real vessels, each one as solid and deadly as their progenitors. Impossible. The hivemind's transmission showed genuine fear for the first time. Your sensors are malfunctioning. You cannot. Can't what? Mitchell's voice cut through all channels. Can't innovate. Can't adapt. You thought you'd solved our quantum resonance trick. Welcome to version 2. The ghost ships moved with perfect coordination, quantum-linked, not just to their parent vessels, but to each other. For every real ship in Earth's fleet, 5 quantum echoes appeared, each one capable of affecting real space. All units, Mitchell commanded, execute attack pattern Delta. What followed was beyond the ability of conventional tactical computers to process. The real Earth ships and their quantum echoes moved in impossible formations, their attacks coming from vectors that shouldn't exist. When the Drachnids tried to phase shift away from one attack, they found themselves materializing into the path of 3 others. Their tactical grid is collapsing, Hayes reported with fierce joy. Their targeting systems can't distinguish between real ships and quantum echoes. The Drachnid fleet, for all its numbers, couldn't adapt fast enough. Their rigid battle doctrine, evolved over millennia of overwhelming force, had no answer for an enemy that could seemingly multiply at will, ships that could become 5, and then each of those 5 spawning 5 quantum echoes. The mathematics of warfare had changed fundamentally. You see, Mitchell transmitted to the increasingly desperate hive mind, we learned something when you mocked our fleet size. Quantity isn't everything. Innovation, adaptation, the willingness to try the impossible. That's what wins wars. The battle became a rout. Drachnid ships, unable to determine which attacks were real and which were quantum echoes, found their phase shift technology worse than useless. Some crystallized from quantum interference, others were caught in crossfires they couldn't predict, and still others fled in panic, their perfect formation shattered. As the last Drachnid vessels retreated in disarray, Mitchell allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Earth's tiny fleet had just defeated an armada 300 times its size. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "The Drachnid main fleet is broken. And let them know." She smiled, remembering all the mockery, all the dismissal, that humanity's fleet size seems to be perfectly adequate after all. The age of numbers was over. The era of innovation had truly begun. The rebuilt Confederation Council chamber looked nothing like its original design. Gone were the ostentatious displays of fleet numbers and military might. Instead, a single hologram dominated the space. Earth's 50 ships, each capable of becoming 5, each of those 5 able to generate quantum echoes. A reminder that innovation trumps tradition. Mitchell stood at the podium, her dress uniform adorned with the newly created Galactic Defense Cross. The assembled alien representatives, once so dismissive of humanity's military presence, now watched her with a mixture of respect and unease. "The Terran Combat Innovation Academy," she announced, "will accept its first class of students next month. All Confederation species are welcome to apply." The Viraxian ambassador, once her chief critic, was the first to speak. "I have already submitted my application, Commander." His scales shimmered with what Mitchell had learned to recognize as embarrassment. "Though perhaps I should say, Professor Mitchell. Commander is fine." She allowed herself a small smile. "Though I expect all students to check their assumptions about fleet doctrine at the door." The first lesson of the Academy: bigger isn't always better. The quantum displays showed the current state of galactic defense. The Drachnid threat had been neutralized, their mighty armada reduced to scattered remnants. More importantly, their defeat had shattered millennia of stagnant military thinking. "The Hive Concordat has already begun modifying our ships," their representative clicked. "Though we find the quantum echo technology challenging." "That's the point," Mitchell replied. "Innovation isn't about copying someone else's solutions. It's about finding new ways to solve problems. Earth's fleet design worked because we had to think differently. Now it's your turn." Her neural implant pinged with updates from Dr. Wong's team. The next generation of quantum link technology was already in development. Not because they needed it, but because standing still meant falling behind. Some have suggested the proto-algae collective speaker wavered that Earth should build more ships now, to cement your position as the dominant military power. Mitchell's laugh filled the chamber. Still thinking about numbers, she gestured to the hologram. "Our 50 ships can effectively deploy as 1,250 combat units when you count quantum echoes. But that's not the point. The moment we start relying on fleet size is the moment we become like the Drachnids, powerful but predictable." The chamber erupted in discussion, translation software struggling to keep up with the overlapping conversations. Mitchell watched with satisfaction as species that had once competed over ship numbers now debated innovation strategies and adaptive tactics. Her quantum comm chimed with a priority message from Earth Command. The Gettysburg's next mission was ready. exploring the galaxy's uncharted regions, not as a warship, but as humanity's flagship of discovery. Her 5 segments and their quantum echoes would map regions too dangerous for traditional vessels to enter. The galaxy is changing. Mitchell addressed the chamber one final time. The age of massive, unchanging fleets is over. But this isn't about Earth's victory. It's about evolution, adaptation, finding new solutions to old problems. She paused, remembering that first day when they had mocked Earth's fleet size. A wise human once said that necessity is the mother of invention. You made our small fleet size a necessity. We turned it into the mother of all innovations. The council session ended with the signing of the Innovation Exchange Treaty. Each species would develop its own unique solutions, sharing knowledge while maintaining technological independence. The arms race of quantity had been replaced by a renaissance of quality. Later, standing in the Gettysburg's observation deck, Mitchell watched her ship's segments perform their intricate quantum dance against the backdrop of stars. Hayes appeared beside her, holding a data tablet. First Academy class is oversubscribed, she reported. Even the Drachnid remnants have requested a seat. Mitchell nodded, watching the quantum echoes shimmer like ghost ships in the void. Tell them everyone's welcome, but remind them of our motto. Hayes grinned. Quality over quantity. That, Mitchell smiled, and never underestimate a species that turns mockery into motivation. The stars stretched before them, infinite in their possibility. Humanity's tiny fleet had changed the galaxy forever. And this was just the beginning. Innovation, after all, never rests.